Hey, it's travelgigolo and we are at the Richtersberg campsite in the Richtersveld. The camp is located along the banks of the Orange River. That's about 54 kilometers from Sendlingsdrift, and that equates to about 2.5 hours drive. There's pretty much nothing at the campsite, so the campsite is basically just an open area on which to set your camping setup on. You can gather a few rocks to build a fire pit, but other than that you've basically got to bring everything you need with you. Very few of these campsites have shade. We're fortunate to get a nice one which is relatively enclosed with a bit of shade around it as well. There's another campsite with a bit of shade too, but other than that it's pretty much out in the open desert sun. There's no electricity at the site. There's no lighting at the site. There's no potable water to drink. There are no garbage facilities at the site. So whatever garbage or waste you produce, you've got to keep and remove out of the park with you. There's a flush toilet and a cold shower as well as a wash basin. The bathroom facilities, although they are present, are not that great. I would recommend that you bring your own shower as well. You can of course use the shower here, but it is not in that great condition. There isn't a shower head and so on, so there is quite a bit of maintenance required on the bathroom facilities. So I definitely recommend that you bring your own shower with you if you can. And of course, that's a great thing to have if you're camping out in the desert as well. And you will need that if you're going to go to a couple of the other campsites within the Richtersveld where they're not on the riverfront and there is no water at all. The nearest place to get supplies is Sendlingsdrift, and that's about 54 kilometers away. However, that 54 kilometers takes at least 2.5 hours to drive if you do not stop at all. The drive between here and Sendlingsdrift is quite scenic, so you are probably going to take it slowly in any case to enjoy the views and all that sort of stuff. But a lot of the track is through some pretty steep passes and there is deep sand along the way. So a lot of the time you're doing about 10 kilometers an hour, maybe up to 20 kilometers an hour. So it is a long drive, even though it's only 54 kilometers. So the campsite is along the Orange River, which is what partitions the Transfrontier Park between the Richtersveld side on the South African side and the Ai-Ais Park on the Namibian side. You need a 4x4 to get here. You need a vehicle with high clearance. On the way into the park, there's a sign that says only SUVs or bakkies. However, I would definitely recommend that you have a 4x4, mainly because there's some areas where the sand is quite deep and so it's easy to get bogged down if you've got a two-wheel drive. So because this is a riverfront site, there are quite a bit of activities to do in the river itself. So you can fish and you can swim, obviously. It's not that deep, although the current's relatively strong now, but not so strong that it's difficult to swim. In addition to that, of course, if you've got a raft or if you bring a nice kayak with you, then you can do some nice boating. So what kind of camp is this for? You pretty much have to be completely self-sufficient. You've got to bring your own water, your own food. There are no shops nearby. There's no potable water. The sun is a big factor, so make sure that you have adequate shade. The wind can also be very significant, and notably it is often a strong ocean breeze coming from the Atlantic Ocean. So it can get pretty cold at night even though it's really hot in the daytime. It does get a bit dusty as well, but that's expected. We're in the desert, it's completely dry and it does get windy. So you can expect that there's going to be a thin film of dust over everything that you bring. So this is desert camping. We are in the middle of a very arid area. With the exception of trees and some riverine vegetation, it is pretty much desert. Now technically, according to the Sandpark's website, there are 6 campsites here. However, at the time that we are here, the river is relatively high and a number of those campsites are flooded. So actually there's only now about 3 campsites sort of on the riverfront. So that's something to be aware of. Depends on what time of year that you come here. If you come here late in the summer when the river's pretty high, then you may find a similar situation to what we have now. Things to watch out for: there are baboons and monkeys here. We haven't had any trouble with them per se, but we have seen them slinking closer and closer to the site, and then we've driven them off and they haven't given us any trouble. But obviously, be wary of that and make sure you don't leave stuff out that they can then destroy or take away. This is a truly rustic spot. If you love getting out into nature and away from civilization and built up areas and traffic and people and so on, then this is really the perfect place to come. It's absolutely beautiful with these desert mountains, very peaceful, very quiet. With the exception of a couple of campers around you, there really is no one else here. Once in a while, you'll see a herder or two that are allowed to operate within the park itself. But other than that, it's pretty devoid of people. So would I recommend this campsite? If you are a completely self-sufficient camper and you're able to get here with a 4x4 four-wheel drive with decent clearance, then yes, this is truly a magical place to be. The drive here through the Richtersveld itself is just an experience on its own, and obviously the campsite itself is really beautiful because it's just out here absolutely in the wilderness with some beautiful riverfront as well. There's no portable water, there's no electricity, there's no lighting, there are no supplies, so there is no shop close by, there's no fuel, and thankfully, with the exception of the sound of the Orange River and the birds, there is no noise. If you're not a self-sufficient camper, if you're a first-time camper, this is probably not the place for you. I think you need a bit of experience and maybe just a bit of know-how and being able to survive under these conditions and plan your stay properly before you come to a campsite like this. So you might be asking yourself, well, what is there on this campsite? Well, there is an unbeatable view of the Orange River. You're camping right on the banks. If you're into fishing, this is a great place to fish. If you've got a kayak, it's a great place to do some boating. You can swim in the river as well. The water seems relatively clean and it's definitely very pleasant, especially in this really hot environment. This is a pretty short review, and while there isn't really much to say, but I hope you found it informative. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Leave a comment below. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. And for those of you that have subscribed, thank you so much for all the support. And until the next episode, go everywhere, see everything, have a great time.